It began, as these things often do, with a dare. A group of us, young and foolish, stood before the decaying gates of Cranbrook Mental Asylum. Cranbrook. A name whispered with fear and dread. A place of shattered minds and forgotten souls. The dare? Spend a night within its walls. To prove our bravery. To tempt fate. None of us could have known the true price of our arrogance. The iron gates groaned open, a metallic shriek that sent shivers down our spines. A cold wind swept through the grounds, carrying the scent of decay and a whisper of madness. We stepped inside, our laughter dying in our throats, and the gates clanged shut behind us. We were trapped. The asylum loomed above us, a gothic monolith of crumbling stone and shattered windows. Vines, like skeletal fingers, clawed their way up the walls, twisting and turning as if trying to escape. Inside, the air hung heavy and cold, thick with the stench of mildew and something else. Something unsettling. Something that spoke of suffering and despair. We walked cautiously through the building, our footsteps echoing in the silence. The walls were lined with padded cells, each one a testament to the torment that had unfolded within. Scratches marked the walls, and the air was heavy with the weight of countless unspoken stories. Stories of madness, of desperation, of souls lost in the darkness. Dust-covered photo albums lay scattered on a table in what was once the common room. We gathered around, drawn in by the faded images of the asylum's former inhabitants. Faces stared back at us, their eyes hollow and haunting. Some smiled, but their smiles were empty, devoid of joy. Others wore expressions of anguish, their pain etched into their features. As we turned the pages, we felt a growing sense of unease. These weren't just photographs. They were windows into forgotten lives, each face a testament to the human cost of madness. We were intruders in their sanctuary of sorrow, and we couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't welcome. Nightfall descended and darkness enveloped the asylum. We huddled together in the former common room, our laughter from earlier now a distant memory. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows and sending shivers down our spines. Every creak of the floorboards, every sigh of the wind sounded like a whispered threat. We told stories to distract ourselves, but the darkness seemed to swallow the sound of our voices. The darkness felt alive, pulsating with unseen energy. We were being watched. We could feel it in the shadows that danced at the edge of our vision, in the cold spots that seemed to follow us from room to room. A blood-curdling scream shattered the silence. We scrambled to our feet, hearts pounding in our chests. It was Emily, her eyes wide with terror, pointing a trembling finger at a dark corner of the room. "I saw something," she gasped, her voice barely a whisper. There, in the shadows. We strained our eyes, peering into the darkness, but there was nothing there. "There's nothing there, Em," Mark said, his voice shaky. "It's just your imagination playing tricks on you." But even as he spoke, we couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't alone. Something was here with us, lurking just beyond our sight. Something dark and malevolent. Section 6. The Truth in the Asylum Records. Driven by a mixture of fear and morbid curiosity, we stumbled upon the asylum's records room. The air was thick with dust, and the dim lighting cast eerie shadows on the walls. It felt as though the room itself was a guardian of the secrets it held. Secrets that had been buried for decades. Dusty files lined the shelves, each one containing the story of a life shattered by madness. The sheer volume of records was overwhelming, each file a testament to the suffering endured within these walls. We could almost hear the whispers of the past, the cries of those who had been forgotten by time. We found ourselves drawn to one file in particular. The name on the label sent a chill down our spines. Sarah. It was as if the file was calling out to us, begging to have its story told. We hesitated for a moment, knowing that what we were about to uncover would be deeply unsettling. Sarah's story unfolded before us, a tragic tale of a young woman betrayed by love and driven to the brink of insanity. The handwritten notes detailed her descent into madness, each page more heartbreaking than the last. We could feel the anguish in her words, the desperation that had consumed her. The details of her confinement were chilling, her descent into madness documented in cold clinical language. The medical records were devoid of empathy, reducing her suffering to mere symptoms and diagnoses. It was a stark reminder of the inhumanity that often pervaded such institutions. But it was the photograph that truly broke our hearts. It was a small, sepia-toned image, clipped to the inside of the file. The edges were worn, as if it had been handled many times, perhaps by Sarah herself. A young woman with hauntingly beautiful eyes stared back at us, her face etched with a sadness that transcended time. Her eyes seemed to plead with us, asking for understanding, for someone to acknowledge her pain. It was a moment of profound connection, bridging the gap between past and present. We knew then that Sarah's story, like so many others, deserved to be remembered, not as a case file, but as a human being who had suffered and endured. Section 7. Sarah's story. Sarah's file revealed a life of pain and betrayal. Born into a family that never truly understood her, she found solace in her art. Her paintings were her escape, a world where she could express her deepest emotions and dreams. But life had other plans for her. She had been a talented artist, her paintings full of life and color. Each stroke of her brush was a testament to her passion and creativity. Her studio was a sanctuary, filled with vibrant canvases that told stories of hope, love, and dreams. But amidst the colors, there was a shadow looming over her happiness. Then she met him, a man who promised her the world, but who ultimately broke her heart. Their love story began like a fairy tale, with moments of pure joy and passion. They would walk hand in hand through the park, dream about their future together, and share sunsets that seemed to last forever. But as time went on, the fairy tale turned into a nightmare. Driven to despair, she sought refuge in the asylum, her sanity slowly unraveling. The betrayal and heartbreak were too much for her to bear. She felt isolated, lost in a world that no longer made sense. The asylum, with its cold walls and eerie silence, became her new reality. It was a place where hope seemed to fade away. Her paintings, once vibrant and full of life, became dark and twisted, reflecting the torment within her soul. The colors that once brought her joy now depicted her pain and suffering. Each canvas was a cry for help, a reflection of the darkness that had taken over her heart. Her art became a mirror of her shattered spirit. The asylum staff, ill-equipped to deal with the complexities of mental illness, subjected her to cruel treatments that only exacerbated her condition. They used outdated methods, believing they could cure her with harsh and inhumane practices. Instead of finding relief, Sarah's suffering deepened, and her cries for help went unheard. She became a ghost haunting the halls, her cries of anguish echoing through the corridors. The once vibrant artist was now a shadow of her former self, lost in the labyrinth of her mind. The asylum's dark hallways became her prison, and her spirit wandered aimlessly, searching for peace that never came. The other patients whispered her name in hushed tones, both fearing and pitying her. They saw her as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the fragility of the human mind. Sarah's story became a legend within the asylum, a tale of love, betrayal, and the haunting consequences of a broken heart. Her legacy lived on, a testament to the enduring power of art and the depths of human suffering. Section 8. The Haunting Melody. Later that night, a haunting melody drifted through the asylum. It was a piano, its notes echoing through the empty corridors. The melody was both beautiful and melancholic, filled with a deep, unyielding sadness. We followed the sound, drawn to it like moths to a flame, until we reached the old music room. And there, bathed in the pale moonlight that streamed through a broken window, was Sarah. She sat at the piano, her fingers dancing across the keys, her voice a haunting whisper as she sang a song of lost love and shattered dreams. We stood there, mesmerized, our fear forgotten as we were drawn into the depths of her sorrow. Section 9. Farewell, Sarah. As dawn broke, Sarah's music faded, and she vanished before our eyes. The first light of day cast long shadows across the decrepit walls of Cranbrook Asylum, and with it, the haunting melody that had filled the air began to dissipate. Sarah, the ethereal presence that had both terrified and intrigued us, was no longer there. It was as if she had never existed, leaving behind only the faintest echo of her sorrowful tune. We searched for her, but she was gone. Every corner, every shadowy nook of the asylum was scoured in our desperate attempt to find her. The once lively corridors, now silent, seemed to mock our efforts. The air was thick with an eerie stillness, broken only by our anxious whispers and the creaking of the old wooden floors beneath our feet. We called out her name, hoping against hope for a response, but the only answer was the hollow echo of our own voices. The asylum was silent once more, the only sound the beating of our own hearts. The oppressive silence weighed heavily on us, amplifying our sense of loss and confusion. Each step we took seemed to reverberate through the empty halls, a stark reminder of the life that once was and the ghostly presence that had now vanished. The walls, covered in peeling paint and faded memories, seemed to close in on us, as if the asylum itself was mourning the loss of its spectral inhabitant. We left Cranbrook that morning, forever changed by our encounter with Sarah. The dawn's light, which should have brought a sense of relief, instead highlighted the profound impact of our experience. As we walked away from the asylum, the weight of what we had witnessed settled heavily on our shoulders. The misty morning air was filled with a sense of melancholy, and our hearts were heavy with the realization that we had been touched by something far beyond our understanding. We had come seeking thrills, but we found something far more profound: the enduring power of love, loss, and the human spirit. We never forgot Sarah. Our initial excitement and curiosity had given way to a deep sense of empathy and reflection. The story of Sarah, a girl lost to time and tragedy, had etched itself into our hearts. Her music, a testament to her enduring spirit, had bridged the gap between the living and the dead, reminding us of the fragility of life and the strength of the human soul. Her story stayed with us, a constant reminder of the fragility of the human mind and the importance of compassion. We often found ourselves reflecting on her life, piecing together the fragments of her story from the whispers of the past. The old photograph we found, depicting a young girl in historical dress, became a symbol of our connection to her. It was a poignant reminder that behind every ghost story lies a real person, with real emotions and a real history. And sometimes, late at night, when the wind is howling and the shadows are long, we can still hear her haunting melody, a whisper from beyond the grave. The nights following our visit to Cranbrook were filled with restless dreams and fleeting glimpses of Sarah's presence. The wind, howling through the trees and rattling the windows, seemed to carry her song, a mournful tune that resonated deep within our souls. It was as if she was reaching out to us, reminding us of her existence and the pain she endured, a reminder of the girl who found solace in music, even in the depths of her despair. Sarah's story, her music, and her spirit became a part of us, a haunting yet beautiful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit. Her melody, though filled with sorrow, was also a testament to her strength and her ability to find solace in the darkest of times. It was a lesson in compassion, empathy, and the enduring power of the human soul to find light even in the deepest shadows.